One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, everybody? What up? What up? What up?
What up?
7 more days, man. I'm tell you what, these 7 days be going by way too quick.
Like this, like I'm not exaggerating. Like it does seem like maybe a day or two, and all of a sudden, oh, we're back at it. All right,
right. So like we just did a show like 2 days ago, but once again, back again, 7 days. I'm Archbishop, got Mike Ball, we got Aaron Olinger, and this is the Dominant Effect. So, like always, before we jump into this part of the show, we're gonna do like we always do, figure out what everybody done for the week, and then we're gonna hit this show rolling. So, Aaron, start with you. What you been up to this week, brother?
Oh, all I did was go out and do some last minute prepping for the big winter storm that we got, and we got about a foot of snow in my area. Luckily, there was no ice involved, so I'm glad for that. But stores were just a madhouse. There were so many people there, and I had everything I wanted. But one of my friends who doesn't have a vehicle, he had no way to get to the store, so I volunteered to take him so he could go get some last minute stuff. And I sure didn't want to go out there in that crowd, but it was necessary to help my buddy out. So now that's over with. I'm just looking at what what's next that Mother Nature's going to throw our way here in the next few days. So
Yeah, I
I'll stop
seen
there.
on the report that they're going to be. You got something else coming your way here soon. There's a big storm that's brewing up down in Texas, supposed to be coming up that way.
Mhm.
I think y'all gonna end up getting hit again. So what's up,
I
Mike
believe
Ball?
so.
What's good with everyone, man? It's been actually an enjoyable last week. You know, one of the things I do a lot when I'm offline and stuff like that, I like to go and try to meet new people around locally, and I have a lot of good friends here locally that take care of me and stuff like that. And so I was just happened maybe like 2 days ago or something like that. And Aaron, this is something I think that you would need right here. I took a ride in one of these in an old like 1982 U.S. Army issued Humvee, and so
Okay.
I didn't even expect that we were going to see anything. But it was kind of cool to be able to take a ride in one. I've never been able to do that. We went off-roading. It's raining now. We didn't care. And yeah, it was a good time. Definitely. And then, of course, lately it's been just enjoyable just going out to go eat and as well as getting a little pops off. Get down with a, quick 30. We're cool with it. We're going to shoot a little water. Got to have fun,
What was that?
AR-15.
Oh, okay.
Right. So anyway, get ready. Yep. So it's been enjoyable. And I just got a plate delivered to me right this second. Like right before you guys, right when we were doing the countdown. Sheesh.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Burn ends.
Mom,
Looking good.
Done set you up.
Oh yeah. Hooked up.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. So let's see. On my end, it's been the same as always, brother. I'm always moving around here doing something.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so I got well, like I said, we still about to close up on the movie Standing on Business. That's almost done. It's like 95% done. They doing like little B-roll footage, stuff like that. It's basically over. It's another one that I'll be working on called Favor Part 2.
That's what I'm talking about.
Part 1 has been out for a couple years, but they get ready to do Part 2. They just started filming Part 2. So I'm about to jump into that, and then it's another one that I got a script on a couple days ago for me to read over. I think I'm gonna jump in that one too. That seemed to be something. Should be pretty interesting based on what I read with it so far. I haven't read the whole thing. Pretty good. And
man, I want to get in some of these movies.
You know what? I got something for you for real. I'm gonna talk to you about it after the show. I got something for you.
I was halfway joking, but I'm also real, about it. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I got something
say
for
no.
You. I did a casting call on this one show that's gonna be on the CW. Did a casting call for that, and then I did another casting call for this show called All the Queen's Men. I'm pretty sure all you females know what that show is about. It's on BET. From what I've seen it. It's a good show from what I've seen. But I know all the females be watching it because it's a bunch of strippers. And no, I'm not gonna be on there stripping. But but if the money right though, you know what I mean, I may just pull a little something. I'll do a little jiggle something, you know what I mean? But no, it was like I said, everything going as it should go. You know what I mean? I think 25 is gonna be a good year, man. There's a lot of this stuff is gonna be hitting the airway here soon. And I think that's gonna be what's gonna happen to start making everything else pop. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're damn right, Pepper. It's a lot of strippers on here. You know what I mean? Now on this particular show, now mind you, you know what I mean, I like the strip clubs, don't get me wrong. This particular show though, it's more of a it's like a flip. So like the dudes are stripping and the women's there tossing the money as in how you normally would see it, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So that's why I said no, I'm not gonna be stripping. It's another role, another role. But yeah, man. But everything's looking good, man. I'm proud of that. You know, I did just get an email from YouTube right before the show started, said that we hit 250,000 views.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's damn good. You know what I mean? So I appreciate everybody that come on there and like, follow, share, subscribed, and told people whatever. You know what I mean? It's greatly appreciated. And, keep doing it. Keep doing it. So hopefully we're gonna make 25 bigger than we did in 24. So so on with the show. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, man. It's a lot of stuff that's going on. But
yeah,
what we're gonna talk about tonight is a couple different things, but we're gonna start with what went on in Las Vegas with the Green Beret by the name of Matthew Livelsberger that had this whole thing carried out. I mean, I know it's a lot to this. I mean, when I start looking into this stuff, it's a lot to this, and it's a lot more to this than what they're telling us. So, so before we jump into it, I'm gonna play this little short, like a little short 30-second little clip to kind of get everybody familiar with what's going on. I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but we're gonna hit this first little clip on it.
Yep.
And then we're gonna take it. We're gonna go on with it from there.
Perfect.
New details emerge about the suspect in the Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion as police reveal letters left behind by Army soldier Matthew Livelsberger.
This is an excerpt from that letter. He says, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives?
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you both, since we just started with that. Just based on that little bit that he said on there. Now we're gonna go into it later on as to the full email that was sent out. But just that little bit right there, saying that, you know, people kind of gravitate to stuff like this. What's your opinion on it? What do you think about it?
Aaron, go ahead.
Well, I've heard people that's in the militia community and survival community talk along those lines, and they never took any action like this. And just knowing that the guy had 2 bronze stars, and I don't know if you call them oak leaves or what you call them, for courage under fire. I mean, he served in Ukraine and he served in Afghanistan and other places overseas. His training, to me, would be such that if he built a bomb, it'd be similar to the Oklahoma bombing that blew off the front end of that federal building. It wouldn't be some little firecracker crap. I mean, this guy's got actual military experience.
Yep.
And I'm having a hard time with the whole thing myself. I hope he's not somebody's scapegoat right now where they're going to tarnish his reputation to hide some facts. But, you know, I know when terrorists go after somebody, only 10% of their total group are actually what you call suicide bombers. They'll grab up somebody's family, put guns to their heads, threaten to do them harm, and they'll make you put on a vest or make you go out and do something if you want your family to live.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing his training and what he was capable of and what little he did, I'm wondering if somebody has some leverage on him myself. But I'm gonna stop there for right now.
Yeah, when it comes to this particular thing, there's a lot of coincidences here, right? But at the same token, it's kind of been discussed a little bit, and I think a guy, his name was Sean something, that kind of was a whistleblower on the whole thing, and I kind of talked about it or looked into it a little bit, but I didn't watch the whole thing. Regardless, you were right, Aaron. If they're going to be, you know, especially if you're any type of military trained at all. I mean, at that point, why not just engineer something for real? If you really want an explosion, like what it was told in that video that he was doing was that was more of an intention ordeal, not to like necessarily kill somebody, but it's going to cause attention. And they believe that guy, I believe that's the exact guy that had a bullet in his head or shot himself, right? So
Yep.
The truth is people are saying, and this is all, speculation, of course, but the dude showed up dead. You know what I mean? Think about it like that. There was somebody else involved in it. And that's what I really, truly think is involved here.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more. There's a lot more than meets the eye when it comes to this. And reason being is now I watched it when it first came out on Sean Ron's show. And when they were talking about
that guy,
they were reading the actual email that was sent to them, because he had reached out to certain people trying to get this stuff out, trying to get this information out. And he told them not to release the information or his name until January 1st. But he had reached out to Sean Ryan. He had reached out to Fox News and other affiliates trying to get this out ahead of time. I'm going to I do have a clip from the Sean Ryan show when they read that email. So and they actually show a big picture of the email, so you can kind of, if you're looking at it, you can kind of read along with it as well. But then we're gonna come back and then we're gonna hit it.
Let me get this to Sean Ryan, see if I can get with him. And I had a buddy who knew your producer, and we went from there. But
wow. Do you want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, "In case I do not make it to my decision point or on to the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones," he puts that in quotes, he says drones, "is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the U.S. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operations Center, our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used a balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comms system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid." Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive V-bid. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a V-bid was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
You fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice, and he goes, "You said that word V-bid. Can you tell me what that is?" For your audience, a V-bid, for your audience who has not been in the GWOT for the last 20 years, a V-bid is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So, backing up, he says, "I am armed and have a massive V-bid. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me." Here's where he gets into the other stuff. And this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. "I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings, 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA and Agent Redacted of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with Redacted IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, Redacted can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
Yeah, that email's crazy.
Yeah, he had a lot on there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was hoping that it didn't come out blurry like it did.
Yeah.
I was trying to blow it up a little bit to where we would be able to see it, but it made it a little blurry, so I apologize for that. But it doesn't sound like a guy that was, from what he was saying on that email, did not sound like a guy that was trying to unalive himself. Now, that seemed like a guy who, you know, had maybe guilt remorse because of the stuff that he had experienced back in 2019, and he wanted to tell it, along with some other stuff that he knew, you know, because from what I read on there, he had this guy here was a master sergeant that had was a highly decorated master sergeant, and he worked various jobs in the military, along with special intelligence and everything else. So so it wasn't like he was somebody who didn't know a lot of stuff. He had clearance, and he's held these different positions to know what he knew. I mean, it didn't seem like a guy that was like, okay, I'm gonna write this letter and then I'm gonna go to Trump Casino and off myself and let these little fireworks off. You know what I mean? Now, especially being the fact he was a Green Beret. I mean, that says enough as is. You know what I mean? So he was a top-notch soldier. I mean, so he, you know, even with the particular car that he had, he knew that car was not going to blow out. He knew it would blow up. You know what I mean? And what he had in there did just that.
It made a spectacle.
Way more. He could have did way more than what he had on there. But the thing that kind of got me was that, number one, he was talking about he knew that they would not let him get to Mexico, but they knew that he had that embed. They already knew he had it. So me personally, I'm thinking, okay, this was a distraction. You know, he sent this over here, and then while everybody's sitting over here focused over here, then I'm gonna go this way and I'm gonna get away, because surely he didn't do all that he did just to do that. Well, then after the initial reports, you know, they said that he had unalived himself with a Desert Eagle. But then you seen other reports where it showed a close-up of the vehicle, and it didn't show him doing that. You know, it actually showed him moving around, well, somebody moving around inside. So that part I don't believe. You know what I mean? I don't believe that he actually did that. Actually, tell you the truth, I believe the man's still alive. That's just my personal opinion.
I'm with you on that.
Alive. You know, now with the cover up that was done in 2019, that's the part that made you want to dig into it a little bit. Like, okay, like what are you talking about? And then when you started reading up on it, what it was talking about these airstrikes and stuff that they were doing, where it was supposed to be dealing with drugs and they were doing these raids to blow up these facilities that was supposed to be making these drugs and stuff like that. But then come to find out that the only people that was killed out of this was women and kids. So they wasn't. I mean, so it's the women and kids was in these places making these drugs. I doubt that very seriously. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of civilian casualties to that, and to the point that the UN, once it was reported, that the UN said itself that it was considered as a crime, as a war crime, but then it was covered up. Now, did you see the interview that they had with Marjorie Taylor Greene? And she was talking, she was pitching a fit about this, was talking about how this was a cover up for the Biden administration and all this, and this is what they did. And then somebody had to hit her on the arm and was like, no, that wasn't Biden that did that. That was doing Trump administration. That wasn't Biden. And then she had to go back and like, oh, well, I didn't mean that particular thing. I was talking about the other thing. No, you wouldn't. You just didn't know what you just didn't know what you was talking about. You just running your mouth like always.
Stupid.
And you said exactly, and you said the wrong thing, But I want to get your guys' opinions, based on what you heard on the email and what we already know. What's your opinion? Aaron, go first.
Okay, right now, I know the counterintelligence groups are having a hard time with this because this doesn't represent a traditional terrorist attack. Most traditional attacks are based upon either religious or political beliefs or a political base. So this doesn't fit neither one of those, apparently. So, and then they want to try to tie it into New Orleans and things, but there's no definitive proof there that the two are even connected. So they can't do that. But in doing research for this show, I learned a disturbing, piece of information. And what that is that over 22 military members commit suicide a day. And I find that greatly disturbing. I mean, if they'd have said 22 military members do it a month, I'd have felt that was too many, but 22 military members a day. I mean, we've talked on this show before and we talked about survival and things, and I constantly stress how important it is to maintain morale, how important it is to maintain mental health. If 22 military members a day are killing themselves, man, we're failing somewhere. I mean, we got to get these people help.
No kidding.
And I don't know what to say, but I'm greatly disturbed by the whole thing. Now, they tried to say he went on something called Chat GBT, which I don't know what that is.
That's an AI thing. Yeah.
Okay. And that he was looking up tannerite, which is those exploding targets that are powdered you can buy, and was looking up fireworks and how much explosives he would need of the fireworks and tannerite to create a certain amount of force. But then also saw in that one note he supposedly left behind. It always amazes me how all these people always seem to leave these notes that are convenient. He said it was not a terrorist attack, but a wake-up call for this country. He felt the country was headed toward a collapse. And I don't know. I mean, if the man's mental health was getting that bad, then that might justify what he did. But I just feel bad that many people are taking their lives that are serving our country. And when they come out, they're whatever guilt they're feeling or whatever mental health issues they're having, they're going out taking their own lives. I really feel sorry for the people that serve that are going through that, and they can't seem to get the help they need to stop this from happening. But I'll stop there for right now.
What you got, Mike?
Real quick before I get into that, I want to thank Diane for donating $50 on the Cash App, saying mad respect, by the way. So thank you for that. Very much appreciate that. Okay, so regards to this whole ordeal, I think what Aaron just said was pretty damn spot on. One thing I guess I would add to it would be it's not uncommon where people go and they're serving for our country, and then they realize in the moment they were so believing in their government and so believing in this, and then find out that they've got to do some dirty things or something that they believe is wrong, and they still got to do it, stuff like that. So it's very easy for someone to come back, from serving, and then unfortunately kind of getting radicalized on the internet. You know what I mean? It's very easy. This is kind of a known thing now. These guys get radicalized over the internet a lot of the time. And so they're looking up this information nonstop and going down into their own rabbit holes. And so on that side, I can see that now. But do I believe that guy actually did it? I actually do not think that he did it. Honestly, I think he showed up dead as a distraction.
Okay. Now, here's another thing that I thought about that made it kind of gave me that same opinion, was that they said that the only thing that was left in the vehicle that wasn't burned up was his ID and his passport. Everything else was charred. Now, they said that they also did DNA, and the DNA that they got from whatever that was inside that Tesla, and they crossed it with the DNA of his child, it didn't match. So then they popped up and said, well, maybe that's not his kid. Why would you say that? You know what I mean? Why would you use that? Oh, well, maybe that's not his kid. You know what I mean? Which kind of seemed like you trying to stir this. It was like, yeah, this is definitely him. You know what I mean? The kid may not be his, but yeah, this is definitely him. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of gray area. I could say that. A lot of gray area when it comes to this. Now, at first, they was trying to put what went on in New Orleans and what went on in Las Vegas, trying to put them together. You know, they both were servicemen. They were both at Fort Bragg at one time. They both got these vehicles from the same vehicle rental company. You know, they try to put all that together, like, oh, okay, so they have to be in cahoots with each other. And then they was like the one in New Orleans supposedly had a ISIS flag in his vehicle.
Yep.
But with both of these people, that they went back and they did their investigation on these people, nobody said anything that these guys had talked about anything like this, had talked anything bad about the government, had talked about, you know what I mean? Like they've done none of that. Now, you know, some people that, you know, if they decide that they want to try to do something, you know, then you would hear them at least have conversation as to what they didn't like. You know what I mean? Like I don't like the government for this reason, or, you know, I don't like, you know, the way this administration is doing XYZ. I don't like the way this governor is doing XYZ. You know what I mean? These are conversations that they would have with people, but ain't nobody saying that, which leads you to believe like, okay, like this is bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like, did it happen? Yes, it happened in both places, but why?
Mm-hmm.
It's the why part that doesn't make sense.
Correct.
Now, you know, also on the email, he said, do not release my name until January 1st, because he was already planning on doing this anyway, but he was also planning on making this grand escape as well. You know what I mean? So this could easily be, like I said, you know, he could be on some real Jason Bourne type shit right now. And, you know, like while this go on, I'm gonna sneak around, I'm gonna go do this.
Mm-hmm.
Never even know I'm gone. You know what I mean? And by the time y'all realize it, I'm long gone. You know what I mean? Because this has happened. You know what I mean? We've actually seen stuff like this, whether we believe it or not. We actually seen stuff like this happen in the movies all the time.
Right.
You know, just a random, you know, just presto change or hook and ladder. You know what I mean? Switching things up a little bit.
The question I bear is, okay, if you didn't want to hurt somebody, I would use fireworks as well. You know what I mean? Like I would definitely make a spectacle somehow, right? And like we discussed earlier, just to reiterate, dude's trained. You know what I mean? Why at this point, why not just engineer something to actually make something happen if you want to hurt somebody or really cause that big of a scene? I mean, why would you use fireworks ever? I mean, to me, that doesn't, none of that makes sense. It just points to distraction. That's what it looks
Right.
like to me. And then
Right.
Fort Bragg,
Even
the whole thing with like Fort Bragg, sure, okay, maybe he trained with 700,000 other soldiers at one time. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of Army guys that went through Fort Bragg. You know what I mean? It's a lot of them. I mean, especially with you were specialized groups. You went through Bragg. Now I think it even came down to the type of vehicle that he chose, because he knew that that vehicle would not do this. It would go up, but it wouldn't go out. You know what I mean? I think that particular part was planned all the way to the intricate part of, I got to use this vehicle, because if I don't use this, if I use a Nissan, it's going to blow shit sky high, and it's going to be people hurt and all thing, which I can do this one. And not only is it not going to really hurt anyone if they're not just standing right there, but you can also run that bitch by remote. You don't got to be in the car to drive that Tesla. It can run on its own. You know what I mean? So, which leaves, like I said, it's a lot of gray area there, a whole lot of it. And it's like I said, we're never gonna know the truth about it.
Unfortunately,
because they ain't gonna never tell the truth about it unless he pops up somewhere else. You know what I mean?
and they
says,
have to.
yeah, I'm cool. And then the actual site that he was using, Signal, that he was using to send a lot of these messages and stuff, once this took place, his Signal number changed.
Right. And you can only do that.
Right.
Obviously, if you're alive.
Right. The only person that could change that Signal number is you, because that's an encrypted.
Or the FBI did it. You know what I mean? And either way, you know, this is some weird shit.
Right. Well, see, even with that, now I use Signal a lot, and Signal is a fully encrypted application that you can use.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Now I know that there's nothing is actual foolproof. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you made an app like that, of course you made a way that you're gonna get into it, whether you know it or not. You know what I mean? Because of course you remember back a few weeks ago when the FBI and then was telling you that, okay, China trying to hack into your cell phones, whether you had an Android or an Apple, so start using WhatsApp and Signal. So why would they voluntarily tell you to go use an encrypted app? Because they know how to get in that bitch. That's how. You know what I mean? So they making you think, oh, okay, they looking out for me. No, they ain't looking out for you. It's just an easier way to look at your stuff. You know what I mean? The only good thing about Signal is that you can set it to where, you know, by the time I sent you a message and you read it, it disappears. You know what I mean? Now it disappears off air, but it's still on the server. It's still somewhere. You know what I mean? It doesn't just evaporate. You know what I mean? There's all kind of tricks to that. I mean, how you think they caught all those drug lords years ago when they first started making these encrypted apps? Because people thought they could go on there and talk and couldn't nobody figure out what they was talking about. That's how they were getting them. You know what I mean? So, you know, once they put that bill in place for the quote unquote TikTok Act or the Restrict Act,
yep.
they're able to tap into all this stuff without your permission anyway. So I mean, there's no app made that's completely private. I mean, they're gonna find you out either way.
If it's on your phone, good luck.
Right.
Good luck. You know what I mean? That's what I automatically assume, that all my shit on my phone. I mean, the FBI has come out and said that numerous times. Everything that your entire life is surrounded by is in your phone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very true. And also, Fester, I can't thank you enough for the $10 donation to the Cash App too, man. Thank you for that.
One of the other things that I seen on there was was they were talking about that there is intel that there are actual Iranian surface-to-air missiles in the continental United States. And there were also these invisible bombs. From what they were saying on there was that they have come up with a way to make a bomb that you can bring it through X-ray, through the airport or whatever, undetected. I got a little small thing I'm gonna show right quick, and then we're gonna jump into that too, because I'm kind of the other stuff that's going on. Like I said, you got gray area. This right here, though, this right here is actually scary.
We've been warning about what's happening for damn near a year now. Sarah first came on, I believe it was October of 2023 was her first interview, and nobody took it seriously. Now we have the New Orleans attack. We have Iranian missiles. We have these invisible bombs. Do you know about the invisible bombs? So now these terrorist organizations have developed invisible bombs that will get through metal detectors, any kind of screening device that's out there, and they brag about this. And now we just did a Twitter Spaces with Sarah Adams, and they are now bragging that what we know about the invisible bomb, it's now even more advanced than it was before. So that means they can get this into stadiums, they can get this into airports, they can get this pretty much anywhere they want, because you cannot detect it.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Great.
So, for the people out there, look, there's no stopping what's here. You cannot stop this.
Nope, you can't roll it back.
Not
Can't
with
put the
what
genie
we
back in
have
the bottle.
already in here. We have sleeper cells.
Yep.
So I have a question. Who was that guy speaking? Do you happen to know?
That was talking there?
Mm-hmm.
That's Sean Ryan.
Okay, that is him. Okay,
Yeah, that's him. I watch his show quite a bit because he actually has access to a lot of people. He's used to be a Navy SEAL, but
okay. I just recently found out who this was, only based off of like people were going, "Hey, you need to watch this video." I didn't know that was him, so that was the first time I saw him.
He actually puts out a lot of information. Actually, I sent him an email last week to try to have a conversation with him. But he has a lot of whistleblowers from FBI, CIA, like all over.
Yeah, he seemed to be a big whistleblower on this whole ordeal.
Right. He gets a lot of people. A lot of people reach out to him when they're trying to tell the stuff that's going on. You know what I mean? A lot of them reach out to him. They actually reach out to him more than they reach out to Joe Rogan, it seems like. I mean, a lot of the like military officials and stuff like that, they reach out to him. But what I found out about these Iranian missiles, and there was a lady that was also on his show at one time. Her name is Sarah Adams. She was a CIA targeter. So she spent most of her time over in the Middle East, targeting different organizations, getting intel from each and every single person she can get to, you know what I mean, setting up. You know how that it goes. They go through and they, get CIs to come in and getting all this different intel or whatever. And she actually came on there and told a lot. She was the one that actually told about these Iranian missiles that actually came in to the States from the southern border. And then she was also talking about these invisible bombs that could basically you can run it straight through the airport and you don't even know that it's there.
Undetectable. That's crazy.
Right, that sets up a whole nother alarm. You know what I mean? Because planes, trains, going into buildings. I mean, even though you got metal detectors and all that, it's like if that's actually true, you know what I mean? If that's actually true, how could you stop it? You know, she was even on there talking about that as of right now that there was over 1,000 Al Qaeda members in the U.S. right now,
Mm.
and she said that was the low number, was
Oh
1,000.
shit. Yeah, that's the low guesstimate.
Right, right. So you know, like they were asking
Oh.
me, okay, like how were they able to come through here? And she said, you know, some of them came through the southern border, but a lot of them actually had visas and passports and came into the States, and said that they, you know, they did this because those particular people would already be in the States, and you wouldn't pay them any attention because they already had visas and passports. You would look over them, you know. So from what she was talking, she was saying that a lot of these groups have become united. So you got
Right.
you got Al Qaeda, you got ISIS, you got Hezbollah, you got the HTS, you got all, you know,
And
that
Hamas.
they're right, that they're all separate entities, but they're all actually working together.
Absolutely. For the
You know,
Iranians.
exactly. And one of the biggest ones that's running this unified Islamic army, they told us a while ago that this man was dead, but he wasn't, and he's not. Now, care to guess who this person is?
Hmm.
Care to guess?
Mm-mm. I don't know.
Care to guess, Aaron?
No.
His name is Hamza bin Laden.
Oh shit. That's
He was
crazy.
he was supposed to have been dead,
Mm.
but he's not.
Is that Bin
They have,
Laden's son?
yes, sir.
Oh my God.
Okay. I know who,
Yes,
I know
sir.
who you're talking about. Yeah.
Wow. I was
Um,
gonna question that.
and they say that he is actually way worse than his father, because they say he's like a loose cannon. He doesn't, and there for a while he didn't want to be where people knew that he was the one that was actually in charge. And then they were trying to figure out, like, okay, like where has he been all this time? Because they said he was dead. But come to find out, he had been harbored in Iran.
Mm.
And when stuff started going on in Iran, he's since left and came back over. But yeah, he's very much in control. And he has someone that's under him that's basically he's like the commander of this unified Islamic army. His name is Hamza Al Gandhi, and he used to be the bodyguard for Osama. So now they put him back up.
Oh shit.
He's in charge. Exactly. So there's a lot of it's a lot of different things going on there. A lot of these groups are unifying together with one thing in mind. You know what I mean? And it's to target the US. Exactly what
Terrorism.
okay. So now you got the Taliban, you know, which, you know, that was one of the ones that we were fighting there for the longest, right? That was the whole war in Afghanistan, Desert Storm, whole bit fighting, fighting the Taliban, right? But did you know that the US government sends the Taliban well over 40 million a day?
Oh, I heard it's a week.
But you know what they use that shit for? They take that money and they give it to the families of the people that were killed during this war.
That's interesting.
Like a death benefit, like a stipend.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Now, you ain't giving. What about our people that died? You ain't giving them shit.
No, we don't give them nothing. And let's just say your shit burns down. We'll just offer you $750 and we'll still decline your ass.
Right.
You don't qualify.
Now, just the other day, the Washington Post put something out saying that the CIA is in information sharing, intelligence sharing with the Taliban. It was in the Washington Post. So not only are you paying them These the same ones that you've been fighting for 20 years. This is part of the reason why that your national deficit is up like it is. You know, you got almost 40 trillion going on. This is part of the reason. It's for this 20-year war that we had here. But now you turn around and you paying them and you giving them intel. And then when you left all your weapons over there for them too, though. You know what I mean? Let's not forget about that. But here go a quick one about this whole about this 40 million deal. And we're gonna jump back to it.
The 40 million a week that's in the airplane comes to Afghanistan. Money on the plane weekly is 3 million to 7 million. One thing I want Americans to understand is in that bucket of 40 million we send each week, we are paying basically welfare to the 10 million martyrs' family. So every Taliban member
Whoa.
we're funding them.
Yep, always follow the money.
Right. Now, you know, back a while ago when Sarah first started talking about this, and she's been talking about this for about a year, and they kept trying to push her off. It was like, oh, she'll know what she's talking about, this, until you started going into looking at her record. Now, she was an actual CIA operative. So, of course, she knows what the fuck she's talking about. Along with, you know, with several, she held another office in the Defense Department. I mean, she's seasoned. I can say that. She's seasoned. She's been around for a long time. And this has been her job forever. So it's not like she don't know. You know what I mean? So when she was initially talking about it, of course, they're like, no, she don't know what she's talking about. Now that all the stuff is going on, and a lot of stuff that she was talking about a year ago is actually taking place now. Now they want to talk to her. You know what I mean? Now they want to, you know, see what all she knows or whatever, which that could be a good and bad thing too. Because, you know, sometimes when people talk a little too much about what they know, they ain't around long. You know what I mean? But Sarah actually wrote a book, and it talks about the whole Islamic plan in like 4 steps. And Aaron, I know you actually looked that up, so I'm gonna let you explain that to the people.
Okay, the book itself is Al Qaeda 2.0. It's basically on the upcoming attack on America and Europe unveiled. They want to do an October 7th attack or style attack on the U.S. and certain areas of Europe. Bin Laden's son, like you said, he's the one that's leading it, and he's leading it from Afghanistan right now. It's basically divided up into 4 stages or 4 phases. Because right now they've got over 1,200 operatives that have trained every day to get ready. Now they've got them over here. They got assets over here with them. They're embedded in our society. And I'm going to start off with phase 1. Phase 1 goes from 2021 to 2026. And they're wanting to create a new Islamic Emirates. And they want to prioritize certain countries. I mean, if you go back and you look at, say, November 2021, when this whole thing started off, in November 2021, they planned to destabilize and attack Syria. That was planned back in 2021. We could see the end results of what happened with Syria. March 2022, the plan for Hamas to attack Israel was done in March of 2022. So a lot of people aren't realizing that these people are patient. They've got this stuff set up years in advance. Now, phase two, that goes from 2026 to 2030. That's going to be the violent stage of it. That's the Arab Spring 2.0. The most logical countries that they can target are going to be hit during that time period. And the United States is definitely one of them. And now that they got ISIS working with them, which is Al Qaeda, that gives them more assets around the world and inside continental homeland of the United States to be able to attack. Phase three, 2030 to 2035, they want to reestablish the caliphate and they want to unite the Islamic Emirates and convince or attack the rest. So if anybody's not on board and they're part of the Islamic nation, they're going to be attacked.
Can you repeat those dates real quick?
What's that again, sir?
Can you repeat those dates real quick? We're getting a request in the chat.
Okay. Phase one is is 2021 to 2026. It's phase one.
Okay.
Phase two would be 2026 to 2030. Phase three would be 2030 to 2035. And then phase four is 2035 to 2040. And that's going to be the period of peace. After they've committed the first three things, then they're going to prepare for global expansion because they're expecting to expand the Islamic caliphate and everything over a period of time in the first three phases. And they're just going to move into different areas because of the destruction and just overturning governments and different things that they're going to be doing. I mean, Sarah Adams, she clearly stated, and I don't know if people know this or not, but if you saw the movie 13 Hours, she was stationed in Benghazi. She was there when the operators, the private military contractors, was defending that CIA offsite that wasn't supposed to be there, and our ambassador got killed. She was there and would be escorted by the private military contractors to meet with her assets. And she's the one that made the phone call asking for the carrier to send the two F-18 Hornets in a low-level flyover just to scare the hell out of the people that was trying to attack them. She was there. I mean, she's the real deal. She clearly states, and this is where I'm going to tie this in with possibly New Orleans and Las Vegas. She says that there is radical Islam and sleeper cells embedded in our society and will wage lone wolf terror attacks in the U.S. And she said that it will be done in a coordinated way in 2025. Now, you go down, and she also states, because you want to get into attack methodology, and that could be IEDs, it could be snipers, it could be car bombs, it could be drones, it could be anything that you can use as a method to attack. She says that what they're going to do is they want to shift local law enforcement resources into focusing on lone wolf attacks. So they're not looking at the big plot that Al Qaeda will have planned. So these attacks that we're starting to see is the groundwork to get you looking one direction so that you don't see the big event that could be coming. But they're going to hit different places inside the United States this year. They're going to hit different places in Europe. So all I can tell people right now is you better buckle up because the pain is going to come this year. And I'll stop there.
Wow. Yeah, that'd be really hard to follow up there, Aaron. You're pretty spot on a lot about that. The one thing that I guess I will add to it is, as soon as Ukraine and Russia is finished, this is the one thing I really worry about, to be honest, is then they're going to have to find another way to launder, you know what I mean? And as a political analyst, it's one thing that I have been watching extremely. And the one thing I'm really worried about is Syria. I'm really worried that that will become the next Ukraine, essentially, in that route, because there's a huge interest. There's multiple trade routes through Syria, and there's a lot to it in the way that the politics are over there. So, and the way that we are in there actually right now. So there's a little bit more of an insight there than it would be, let's say, somewhere like Iran, right? You're not going to win the terrorists over.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the same interview that she had, she was also talking about, she also brought up Russia, and she said that Russia was helping them through their pipelines. They were sending them supplies, money,
I believe
ammunition,
it.
stuff like that to be able to facilitate this attack. Now you remember, I got a video I'm gonna play about it, a quick little video. But before I do, you remember back some months ago when Vladimir Putin said himself, if you keep interfering here, then I'm gonna help. I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna give weapons to your enemies so that way they can come and get you. Since you've given them weapons to come at me.
Exactly.
You remember that? And now she just brought this up. She didn't bring up that part, but she brought up the fact that Russia is using their pipelines to help. Play this right quick.
There's information that Russia and Russian pipelines are helping bring in some of the resources that are going to support Al-Qaeda's homeland attack. It's
into this country?
Yep, to push at us for Ukraine. Just like we're doing stuff against Russia.
So hold on. So let me get this straight.
Ukraine.
So Russia's sending supplies into the United States to help with the terrorist homeland.
Their pipeline is helping move some of Al-Qaeda's supplies in the United States for their homeland attack.
Which is probably our own fucking supplies because we left everything there. Am I right?
I mean, it's a different kind of supply. I'll tell you what the supply is, but it is a Russian channel reportedly that the supply has moved through.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is kind of, like I said, like this interview with her, this interview was last week when it aired.
It's a big deal.
But a lot of the stuff that she was talking about was stuff that has been going on for the past year. Actually, a lot of the stuff that she talked about on there was a lot of stuff that we've actually talked about throughout the year.
Yep.
Which kind of reiterated, like some of the stuff that we were talking about, and we were like, man, this may seem a little far-fetched, but based on what we're reading, this could take place. You know what I mean? And she's actually on there talking about a lot of the stuff that we just in our own powwow discussions and some of the stuff that we've brought out on here that she's saying absolutely that this is what's going on. You know what I mean? So we've been sitting here listening to all this stuff. And like I said, a lot of this stuff has been hidden in plain sight. I mean, it's a lot of this stuff that's coming right out. You just got to pay attention. I mean, you don't got to be the smartest fucker in the world, but you got to have a little bit of common sense to put.
Just got to not be lazy and look into it.
Right. It's and they all keep saying she said it. Matthew said it. I mean, it's been countless other people that I've listened to and read documentation on and stuff like that that's saying that this year is supposed to be something that's supposed to be going on. Now, is that something that we want to happen? Absolutely fucking not. But with them having Iranian surface-to-air missiles here, with them having invisible bombs here, you got other nations, Russia in particular, that's helping these people out, that's doing stuff that we, this is stuff that we just picking up here and there. This ain't stuff that they're talking about on mainstream. They're not going to talk about it. You know what I mean? So unless you tuned in and watching other stuff and being able to know what to look for, to be able to look it up. I mean, because it's there. If you look it up, it's there. You just got to know what to look up. But unless you doing that, you have no idea. You know what I mean? That you basically getting set up for real. You know what I mean? Now all these other nations, like we've been talking about, they've been giving out warnings. They've been telling people to get ready, get prepared for this, and make sure you have this, and The only thing that we got here was a 200-page PDF file that you can download
Right.
and read if you choose to. But
Which no one's going to.
no, ain't nobody about to read that shit. So, but you ain't seen nobody come on there not one time on mainstream at any point in time. Have you seen anybody come out there and say, okay, this is true? You know, we got, you know, intel saying that this is a possibility. You know what I mean? Not saying it's going to happen, but a possibility. But with that possibility, you need to, you know, take care of yourself. You need to make sure that you got the right stuff. I mean, that's not putting anybody in a panic. That's just telling you to get your shit in order. You know what I mean? But they're not. You know what I mean? So they don't say anything. We don't say anything. Don't nobody look up the right stuff. Then what happens?
Yeah, just
Everybody's
blows
sitting,
right over.
right. Everybody end up being a sitting duck.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You become collateral damage. You know what I mean? And in every plan, there's always a margin for collateral damage. They know that some people are not gonna make it. They know that. You know what I mean? And they have that in their plan. Like, you know what I mean? So, but the plan is like, okay, how can we facilitate this and do this with the least amount of casualty? Not saying none, the least amount.
At least, yep.
You know, now if you know that these sleeper cells are here, like they was talking about, what they say China had one in every state that they knew about. I mean, now I know that you know about these other ones too, because you got these whistleblowers who's coming out that's saying that you know about it, that you know that they're here. Okay, so here's my question to both of you. If you know this, and you know where these people are, you may not know where all of them are, but you know where, you know, a big percentage are. Why you not just step on them now when you know where they at and get them the hell up out of here, as opposed to letting them organize and actually do something? Like, why would somebody have to perish in order for you to do something? When you're looking at them and you know where they're at.
That's a really good question. I couldn't answer that, to be honest. I mean, there's got to be an obvious interest, you know, somewhere.
Could I be the conspiracy theorist here?
Oh, hey, let me get my tinfoil hat on. No, I'm just playing.
Okay. Let's say that you're wanting to remove the Second Amendment. Let's say that you want to take people's gun rights away from them.
Sure.
Well, you allow a situation to happen. And when enough people start to die, that the American public come forward and say, you got to stop this violence. You got to take these evil guns away from us. We'll give up some civil liberties to have peace again. Then you could declare martial law. You can do whatever you want because you allowed a situation to happen. And then you came forward with the solution. But that's just me being a conspiracy theorist, I guess.
Well, that's very well possible. But, you know, like I said, there's a lot of stuff just, you know, you got this stuff going on here. Okay. Of course, you had so many, you know, somebody that came up through the southern border, which was crazy because, you know, everybody thought at first all the people was coming up from the southern border was Latino. And come to find out that they ain't even true.
Not anywhere close.
Up there, right. They were Afghan, they were Russian, they were Chinese.
Somalis.
You know, Somalians,
all sorts
Africans.
Of, yeah. Chinese.
You know what I mean? Right. You had everybody but them. Like
yeah,
you had a small percentage of Latino, but you had a big percentage of everybody else. You know what I mean? That were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to sneak in
package ordeals where you buy like the 100,000, you know, package or the 70,000 package that gets you with food and this and water and yeah, it's crazy. It's a whole underground operation.
Right. And then you wonder, like, okay, well, how's all this stuff being snuck into the border? Well, probably because there ain't no wall across the whole border. There's plenty of access.
And they just allow it to happen. So
it's all these different spots. You know what I mean? There's plenty of ways to do it. You know what I mean? There's a will, there's a way. I mean, you don't got to do it right in their face. I mean, you got to think about it. You got from California to Texas, you know what I mean, that you can find a way to get something across if you want to get it across. You know what I mean? So it's not airtight, never has been. You know, just like the Canadian border.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Can you get in through Canada into the United States? Absolutely.
Absolutely. You could just walk across.
Absolutely, with no problem.
You can just walk, literally.
Right. Like with no problem. You can actually get into it. No problem whatsoever. You know. So this is when I start looking at a lot of this stuff, I keep thinking when I'm doing these shows that I want to put out the information because I know, you know what I mean, based on the stuff that we have looked at and researched that is true. But I don't want to put it out to the point that it becomes like a fear mongering type.
Yeah,
situation.
no, I respect that fully. Absolutely.
You know, I want to put it out to where it's like, okay, this is what's been said. This is what we found out. Okay, now, you know, be somewhat proactive in this and just decide what you're gonna do for your, you know what I mean, for you and yours.
Right. We're not going to tell you what to do, but man.
Right. I'm not telling you to run to the store and buy up every damn thing and do
right.
this. I'm not doing that. What I want you to do.
All we can do is give you the facts.
Right. I need you to think outside your comfort zone because that's the problem. We are comfortable here. And the reason why we're comfortable here is because nothing never happened here.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, other than 9/11, nothing's never really happened here.
In the Middle East, that's an everyday occurrence, you know. So
right.
You know.
Everywhere else is a war zone, but not here.
Yep.
Like we go and we tear up everybody else shit.
Yeah.
We come home. There hasn't been.
There is no home like that where they can escape. Yeah. No, they're in it for real.
Right. I mean, we ain't never been in a situation like they are in Israel and Syria or even Ukraine where, you know what I mean, when you sitting in your house and all of a sudden your whole block gets blown to hell. You know what I mean? We ain't never been in no situation like that. You know what I mean? And I hope that never happens. You know, but we have to be somewhat proactive as to what's going on because as you see, they're not going to tell us shit. You know what I mean? And if you're not already somewhat prepared, I ain't saying you're going to be ain't nobody fully prepared for anything that's going on. Nobody. But at least be somewhat proactive and to make sure that you and yours are together. And I mean, that's all I ask for. Make sure you and yours is together. Because at the end of the day, the only one that's going to protect you and your family is you.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
real quick before you're going to go ahead next, Aaron, but I just really quick want to shout out my boy VT Truther. Well, VT is for Vengeful Truther, but he's up there in Canada and says, "Yeehaw! Canada's 51st state. Let's fucking go!" Absolutely. And then he sends in a 10 spot. By the way, says, "Here's towards that ammo the other day you wasted on the H2O, Mike." Hey man, I very much appreciate you, kind sir. Very selfless of you.
mm-hmm. So what you got, Aaron?
Well, I'm gonna basically say and reiterate what you just said. People need to be proactive. They need to get out in front of this. Our power grid system is antiquated. It don't take much to bring it down. Hell, in my area, we was without power for about 2 hours, and all it was just snowfall. I mean, there was no ice on the power lines or anything. So knowing how easy it is, you should be planning for what you're going to do if the power grid goes down. Can you cover your heating needs? Can you cover alternative cooking needs when that gas or electric stove won't fire up? How are you going to protect yourself? Can you create a microenvironment in your house and be able to heat at least one room of your house and keep everybody in that room? Do you have plastic sheeting that you can hang down to hold the heat in that room? I mean, there's things that people can do right now that won't cost a bunch of money. We're not telling you to go out and get in debt, but you never know when the day before is actually the day before something's going to happen. And knowing that you're getting the early word now that they do have plans to attack us this year, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I'll stop right there.
Well,
exactly.
with that,
Go ahead,
I
Mike.
mean, you're right. You're right, man. With that being said, everybody, like AB said, this is not supposed to be some fear mongering anything. This is just all we can do is be able to provide the facts to you guys. And this is exactly what we've been doing for just over a year now, So with that being said, man, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough. Also, remember that, listen, hit the like button on the way out. First of all, that's the number one thing. Make sure you guys share this out with somebody. You know what I mean? And as well as, listen, on my side, as to close out, we're going to be rating our buddy a Grid One Motorsports from my side. So stick around for the raid. Be safe, everyone. And AB, y'all good?
Actually, you actually did a good job closing that up. Like I said, like always, thank you all for coming out each and every week. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Hit that button at the bottom. Share these links. I mean, that's how we're able to get this word out. That's the thing. One person tell one person who tells one person. That's the only way that we're going to be able to get this stuff out to people. That's the only way we're going to get people to actually understand and be able to be proactive and be able to get what they need to get done for their families. Like I said, this is not a fear program. This is for you to get your shit together. So that way, if your shit together, then we don't have to worry about anything else. So like I said, appreciate you all for coming out. Love you all. See you all in 7 days. Peace out.
Much love, everyone.